Hi, everyone. My name is Kim Rago, and I'm the Executive Director of Environmental Forum of Marin. EFM was founded 50 years ago to educate people in Marin about our environment and to inspire them to take personal action on environmental issues. EFM is based in Marin County, which is on the unceded traditional homelands of the Coast Miwok people. Then we're going to bring Dick Ogg on. Dick Ogg is a Bodega Bay fisherman and an advocate, and he's featured in her film. Okay, and as the migration patterns change, you described in the film that then there's a collision really between the fishermen and the whales. And what were some things you were seeing happen, and how did you solve this or start to solve this problem?
Well, we in 2014, 15, 2015, 16, there was an extremely hot blob of water offshore. Mm-hmm. And we also had a very high domoic acid issue in 2016. That gave way to an anomalous situation where we were delayed and we could not go fishing until March. And the ESA listed humpback whales were migrating south. And as a result, there were 22 confirmed Dungeness crab entanglements. Mm. That stimulated the Department of Fish and Wildlife to form the Dungeness Crab Gear Working Group, of which I've been part of since the onset. And what we did was we began to evaluate what we could do as fishermen simply to eliminate, the possible interaction that we had seen in 2016. So we began to say, okay, I did a lot of lines surveys. In other words, we would put a crab pot out, and then there were sensors that we put on the lines so that we'd be able to tell how the line traveled and moved in the water. Once we realized that certain aspects of that line, when we had certain leads on there to keep the floating line under the water, it tended to create these W's. Hmm. So the first thing we did was say, okay, we're going to try to eliminate the opportunity for slackline in the water. So one of the biggest issues is when you have slackline, if anybody's a diver on this listening, they'll know that when kelp is very limp, the first thing that happens when you run into it is it wants to wrap around your appendage. And so it's exactly the same thing that happens with a rope in the water. It wants to wrap around the appendage, especially if there's a piece of lead there to keep it underwater. It creates kind of a loop. Once we realized that, we began to go to a line that's called a neutral line that no longer uses those leads. And then we shortened everything up, so everything was tight. So the idea is that when an animal goes by it, it has a tendency to roll off the flute or the body. The other thing we did was decrease the lengths of the buoys up on top and minimize the amount of buoys we had. And as a result of all this work and all this evaluation, the following year, there were only 9, not that I like that, but there were only 9 entanglements that were confirmed within our season. The following year after that, if I'm not mistaken, it went to 5. The following year after that, it went to 3. And now it's down to actually none. We have had no in-season entanglements, in the last 2 years. So have the fishermen really worked to do this? Yes. Have we paid attention? Yes. Are we aware of what's happening with the migration? Absolutely. So we put all this effort and all this energy into minimizing our opportunity to interact with these animals, and we've done a very, very good job.